أجمعين والصلاة والسلام على خير خلقه سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد والصلاة والسلام على أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. وأما بعد فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه المتين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الله لا يغير ما بقوم حتى يغيروا ما بأنفسهم وإذا أراد الله بقوم سوءا فلا مرد له وما لهم من دونه من وال. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوات اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Brothers and sisters, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Eid Mubarak to each and every one of you, inshallah. It's a pleasure to be with you all again. What has been like a cool 2 or 3 years since we've been together, and it's been too long. It's nice to be here again in your service, alhamdulillah. This evening, we want to dedicate this little majlis, Isal Sawab, to some of our marhumin in our community. So we're going to request you to recite Surah Al-Fatiha ma'a salawat for these marhumin. This evening's majlis is Isal Sawab for Sayyid Sajjad Haidar, son of Sayyid Fayyaz Haidar. Also for Sayyid Nawab Shah, son of Sayyid Jandey Shah. Also in memory of Sayyida Shamim Akhtar, daughter of Sayyid Maqbul Hussain Shirazi. And also in memory of Sayyida Baqir, daughter of Sayyid Karam Hussain. Also this evening we're remembering in our memorials for our marhumin, Sayyid Sarkar Haidar Abidi, the son of Sayyid Saghir Hussain Abidi. Please, Surah Al-Fatiha ma'a salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد صلوات اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Khair. So really we're only scheduled for a few speeches here, but I'd like to spend more time with you all, inshallah. So this evening we're going to start a discussion that every opportunity that we get a chance to, we're going to continue it, inshallah. This evening in the khutbah, I read for you this verse of Quran from Surah Al-Ra'd, the thunder, verse number 11, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. And we've all heard this verse before. And the first portion of the verse we're very familiar with. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. I didn't remember my reading glasses, so don't laugh at me that I'm reading it like this, okay? I forgot them. Forgive me. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Inna Allah la yughayyiru ma biqawmin hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim. Allah will not change the condition of a people until they change what is with themselves. وَإِذَا أَرَادَ اللَّهُ بِقَوْمٍ سُوءًا, and whenever Allah desires for a people evil, فَلَا مَرَدَّ لَهُ, there's no one who can turn it away from them. وَمَا لَهُم مِّن دُونِهِ مِنْ وَالٍ, and there's no one for them to be a protector against any calamity except Allah. Now most of us, if not all of us, have heard the first portion of this verse before, where Allah says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Inna Allaha la yughayyiru ma biqawmin hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim. That Allah does not change the condition of a people until they change what is with themselves. And each and every one of us have heard this verse before, and we have an understanding of what this portion of the verse means. So like if I was to ask most anybody in the audience, what's this portion of the verse means? They'll tell you, look, what this portion of the verse means is that if we want to change things in our life, in our condition, in our circumstances, in our situations that we encounter in our life, in our personal life, our business life, our family life, our community life, then there's certain things that have to change inside of us first. And I think we all understand that meaning of this first portion of that verse. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Inna Allah la yughayyiru. Allah's not going to change your state. Ma biqawmin hatta yughayyiru, until they change. And in fact, this hatta, it means unless they change what's inside of themselves first. So we're all aware of this portion of the verse and for what it means, that for our condition to change, we have to change first. And there's another basic meaning. If we're going to change the world, right? Because each of us here, we have children who are in school, high school, college, and every day we tell these kids, you have to get a good education and you have to work hard so that you can do what? Change the world, right? And even the teachers and professors in school, they're telling our kids that you have to grow up and change the world. And what Quran is telling us is, look, if you're going to change the world and have real lasting effect on the world around you, then you have to begin with yourself. This is where the revolution begins. Everybody loves to run around and talk about revolution, right? I'm be honest with you, you got a lot of big mouths in the country that run around from here to there and they talk about revolution and they have no understanding of the revolution that we're engaged in America. They talk like it's a hot revolution. Like any minute this place is going to be Libya. That's not the revolution that we're engaged in here. The revolution that we're engaged in North America isn't a sudden and violent change. It's a slow, insidious, creeping influence that will spread and eventually have a revolutionary effect on the society. There's a lot of people running around talking about revolution. What Allah is saying in this first portion of this verse, though, is that revolution, changing the world, begins first with the self. This is where revolution begins. And I think we all understand that. The action in this verse, like if we look at this verse like a movie, the fight scene is in the rest of the verse. The action is in the rest of the verse. Send a salawat, let's read it inshallah. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, in the next portion of the verse, he says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, وَإِذَا أَرَادَ اللَّهُ بِقَوْمٍ سُوءًا فَلَا مَرَدَّ لَهُ. You go and you look up this verse, Surah Ra'ad, verse number 11. This is why it's important to learn Arabic, at least some basic Arabic. How to read is very important to learn in Arabic, and how to use an Arabic English dictionary, or Arabic Urdu, or Arabic Persian. Some kind of dictionary where you can look up the meaning of words, right? Because the English translation, although most English translations are okay, they can never capture the true meaning of Quran. English is a very weak language, and it can't carry the depth of meaning that Arabic can. So when we look at this verse of Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, وَإِذَا أَرَادَ اللَّهُ سُوءًا. That whenever Allah, and if you look in the English, Allah translated as evil. Not Allah, the people translated as, whenever Allah desires for a people, su, evil. Now let me ask you all a question. The Allah that you worship, that you make salat to 5 times a day, the Allah that you call on in your du'as, does he desire evil for you? I mean, we have to think, because Quran says it. وَإِذَا أَرَادَ اللَّهُ سُوءًا. بِقَوْمٍ سُوءًا, that when Allah desires for a nation, and they translate it in English as evil, when Allah desires evil for a nation, then there's no one who can turn it away from them. What's Allah mean by this verse? So send us salawat. So let's get this straight. Allah is not Zeus, and I think we've had this discussion before, because it's something everywhere I go, I try to, when I go someplace for the first time, there's certain messages that we have to talk about, because people have a wrong concept of Allah and of deen and of religion and what's going on. So sometimes we have to clear those things up. A lot of us have a relationship with Allah that's really, it's not Allah that we're worshiping. It's the Christian God that we're worshiping. You look at how they describe Allah in Western culture. He's an angry, jealous God, vengeful and wrathful. And if you slip, you slide, because he's waiting to punish you. Huh? And this is the relationship many of us build with Allah, right? So then when we read this verse in Quran, وَإِذَا أَرَادَ اللَّهُ بِقَوْمٍ سُوءًا, then we say, see, Allah does desire evil for me. Allah's out to get me. A lot of us have su'idhan, a bad opinion of Allah. We think Allah's out to get us. We think Allah wants to punish us. We think that Allah's angry with us. We think that we've done some sin that made Allah mad with us, and so now He's going to punish us. And that's because we don't understand who Allah is. Allah's not like me and you. Right now, Sayyid can get me angry, and I'll be angry with him. But then he goes and brings back some baklava, and I'll get happy with him. Right? It'll take him about a half hour to go from here and get the baklava and come back, right? Now, I'll be angry. But when he comes back with that baklava and he says, this is for you, then I'll be happy. In that half hour, I was happy and sad. I mean, happy and mad. My state changed. Huh? This can happen. Our state changes. This morning I woke up in a bad mood because I had to make my fajr and then go to the airport and get on an airplane and fly to the West Coast. It's like, oh, I'm riddled with ADD. I can't sit down in an airplane for that long. But then once I arrived here, I got happy again. Our state changes. We get happy and sad. Then tomorrow we feel depressed. Then the day after that we're fearful and anxious. Allah's state doesn't change. Allah never changes His state. Allah loves you. He created you out of love. In Aqaid, we learn that Allah created everything min babil lutf. From the bab of kindness. My teacher said, take lutf, put hub. Yani Allah created everything min babul hub. Allah loves us. He's not angry with you. He doesn't want to punish you. A lot of us though have a bad relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when we read this verse of Quran, وَإِذَا أَرَادَ اللَّهُ بِقَوْمٍ سُوءًا, we say, But the fact is that we shouldn't translate this word su as evil. I'm going to ask you, what's bad for you? What do you think is bad? Like if I went across the audience this evening and I say, what do you think the worst thing is that Allah could do to you, right? Like what's the bad thing that Allah, na'udhu billah, that Allah could do to you, right? Then a lot of people would say, like for instance, my family will be led astray, right? Or they might say that my business will shikast, go bankrupt. Or that my house will get foreclosed on, right? So these are the things we're going to say. Or that I myself, I might be misled and go astray. These are terrible things that can happen to us, right? But what are these things? Are they evil? Like if you lost your house, is it evil? Did Allah desire that for you? Let's make it clear then. If we were to translate this verse, وَإِذَا أَرَادَ اللَّهُ بِقَوْمٍ سُوءًا, don't translate it as, and if Allah wants evil for a people, say that when Allah wants a people to get hardship, When Allah wants a people to feel and to taste and to experience difficulty, فَلَا مَرَدَّ لَهُ, then there's no one who can turn it back from them. وَمَا مِن دُونِهِ مِن وَالٍ, and there's no one who can protect him from that. This is where all the action is in this verse. Now let's read the verse all together. Send us salawat. Allah says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Inna Allah la yughayyiru ma bi qawmin hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim. Allah will not change the condition of a people until they change what is with themselves. This is the keys to success here, brothers and sisters. Understand what I'm going to give you 3 simple steps for you to understand now the keys to success. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying here, Inna Allah la yughayyiru ma bi qawmin hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim. Allah will not change your condition until you change what is with you first. And whenever Allah desires for you hardship, there's no one who can turn it away from you and no one who can protect you from it. But the first basic rule is, it's in your hands. Allah's not going to change our condition. He's not going to alter our situation. He's not going to change the circumstances that's happening in our life, in our family life, in our married life, in our community life, in our business life, in our life. The things that are there to test us, to cause difficulty and hardship for us, Allah's not going to change that for us until we do the work that we have to do with ourselves first. There's no one who can protect us. There's no outside force that can get involved. There's no outsider that can come in and save us. I saw a bumper sticker once. It's a great bumper sticker. It says, the beatings will continue until morale improves. This is the tactic that Allah is using with us. The hardship will continue. The difficulty will continue until we solve our problem. It's going to continue. Now, one thing I wanted to make clear with you before we move on in our discussion this evening, right? One thing I want to make clear to you is this. Islam is this beautiful religion that empowers the human being. Allah comes and says, hey, you want things to change? You make it change. No one's going to help you. There's no one else to help you. You have to make those changes that you have to make. So that first rule is change yourself. What does all this mean? Let's move to the next portion of the discussion. Salawat. A lot of times when we run into trouble in life, when we run into hardships in life, difficulty in life, test in life, terrible circumstances in life, then the first thing we want to do is to make a change. We want things to get better. We want things to get more profitable. We want things to get grander for ourselves, right? So the first thing we try to do is to identify in the external world what's causing our problem. So for sometimes our ladies, they look and they say, you know, my problem is my husband. And men do it too. Sometimes men look around and they say, you know what? My problem is my wife. So, masalan, na'udhu billah. As an example, they get divorced. A'udhu billah. And in my center, we do marriage for free, but divorce costs. Divorce, we're going to beat you in your head for it. We're going to make this month's wages on your divorce. But na'udhu billah, you get divorced. You think you solved the problem, didn't you? Because the problem was the husband. And so we got rid of that loser. And we got a whole new husband. But why do you have the same problem? You got a whole new husband. This brother went out and got a whole new wife, but he still got the same old problem. Our natural reaction when we run into hardship, when we run into difficulties, is that we try to identify in the outside world what's the problem. And so we try to fix that, right? Because it's a lot easier than fixing ourselves. Most of the time, when we stretch out our hand to fix an external problem, we actually make things worse. I'll give you an example. Flint, Michigan. Y'all heard about Flint, Michigan? In Flint, Michigan, they don't have clean water to drink. Because the water company got a bright idea. They said, we're going to change things around and make things better. We're going to attack the problem that we're having, and we're going to change our source of water from this place to that place. They thought they were doing a good thing. Now everybody's got lead poisoning. Florida is another good example of this. The Everglades has been a problem in Florida from forever. They've tried to drain the Everglades 3 different times in history because there's nothing but a huge swamp in the middle of the state. They actually got very close and almost succeeded back in the 1950s. They drained the Everglades and they said, what a great thing it's going to be. We're going to make all this farmland out of this swamp area. The country will be more productive. Things are going to get better. So they drained the Everglades. And you know what happened? The water wells in Miami started to dry up. Because those Everglades, it feeds the water wells in Miami. So you take away the water upriver in the swamp and the well goes dry in Miami. This is just 2 examples that most of the time when we try to cause change in the world, in our own circumstances, in our own condition, by addressing only the external factors and never addressing the internal factors, then lots of times we cause more harm than we cause good. So we tell our kids, you have to grow up and change the world. The world is yours and you have to do great things in the world. Let me ask you a question. Did Allah put you here to change the world? Answer me honestly, it's okay. It is a trick question. Feel free. Do you think that Allah put you here to change the world? Let's make something straight. This world is perfect. I know a lot of times we say, oh, the world is going to hell in a handbasket. There's nothing we can do. Things are going downhill. The world is so bad. No, the world is perfect. Just what you see happening in the world right now is just the way Allah made it. From the time Allah made Bani Adam, we were killing each other. What, you think it's something new? Huh? Cain killed Abel. We've been doing this for a while. We're exceptionally good at it too. We seem to think, we look around at the world and we say, something's wrong with the world. And so we want to change the world. And now we have to ask ourselves as Muslims, what's primary? Are we here to change the world? Did Allah create this universe for us to come here now and change it? No, this world is perfect. It's so perfect you set your clock by it. The rotation of the earth around the sun is the basis of time. It's so precise we set our clock by it. This system is so perfect, we can foretell when meteor showers are going to happen, when new moons are going to happen, when eclipses are going to happen. This system is perfect. There's nothing wrong with the world. Allah has not put us here to change an imperfect world into a perfect world. Allah made this world perfect for the job that it has to do. It's not that we've been put here in the world to change the world. We've been put here in the world to change ourselves. The system in the world is set up to change us. Not that we change it. And all these hardships and difficulties and tough times and situations that we run into, it's not that we have to change something, it's that that's supposed to change us. Our primary goal isn't to change the world. Our primary goal is to change ourselves. And if we're able to change ourselves, then changing the world will be very easy. Now, let's make something clear. When we say we have to change ourselves and not the world, does that mean we give up on, quote unquote, changing the world? Does that mean that we just say now, okay, I'm not going to do any social activism. I'm not going to cry out for justice for the oppressed people. I'm not going to try to change and confront tyrannical systems. I'm not going to try to change and help poor people. I'm just going to try to change myself. Is that what we mean? No. It's not that first you change yourself, then you change the world. It's that while you're changing yourself, you're changing the world. It's not one, then two. It's one and two. Now then, that we understand this. We understand that it's very absolutely necessary that we deal with ourselves and change ourselves. And we'll discuss this some more, inshallah, during the week that I'm here. But this second part, we tell our kids you have to grow up and change the world. And we're not saying that we don't want you to get involved and change the world. But the next question now is how? Now we've identified the first step. We have to work on ourselves. The second step then is we have to realize, just as we mentioned earlier, what kind of revolution we're engaged in North America. You know, one night I went to the masjid here in LA. It was at Al-Wilaya. And some Yahoo comes up to me and says, Maulana, when can we fight the government of the United States? So number one, that's not our intention. It's not our job. Number two, who's this Yahoo? Where'd you guys find him? Like as soon as he asked me that question, I went straight to the Sheikh and I said, this guy, Jasus. But I had a good answer for him. And it's the truth. It's the real answer that you have to give people. When can you confront the United States government, as an example? What's the population of America? 360 something million people. When you have 360 million converts, then you can think about that. There's a lot of work to be done. A lot of people are under the impression that we're engaged in a hot revolution in North America. That masalan, the 50 Muslims that you can get in your little masjid, you're going to do something. You can do something against this system. And they go around, they talk like that, they act like that, they behave like that. That masalan, revolution is imminent. We're going to be smashing glass and burning tires on Sunday. Look, the fact of the matter is the movement that we're engaged in North America is a completely different type of movement. And it's a movement in which we have to understand where we're going. Really. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. We're going to start a discussion this evening and we'll continue it in the week, okay? Listen, the way we're going in the wrong direction. These things that we're doing it wrong. And be honest with you. When we open the traditional centers, right? And I'm not insulting anyone. I don't mean to upset anyone, but we're going to speak honestly because we have to talk about the future of these young people. When we open a traditional center, and we need the traditional centers. I'm not trying to say close the traditional centers. We need them. They serve a vital function in our community. But when we open one, generally what we're trying to do is to recreate a little slice of India or Pakistan or Iran or Iraq or Lebanon. So when we go to this place, right, we speak our home language there, we eat our home style food there, and everything that we do there is like how we used to do it back home. And we need that. I'm not going to try to say close them, shut them down, send them out. Yalla Trump, come get them. Right? But what we are trying to say is that works for a certain segment of the community. For the young people, we need to figure out how we're going to create a North American Islamic movement. We're not going to be able to hang on to our young people. We're not going to be able to hold on to ourselves in the face of the cultural onslaught that we're facing unless we create a movement in North America. And it has to be something that's American. And I know as soon as you say it has to be American Islam, then people are going to say, Na'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. No, listen, let's be straight. It's okay. We have to create something in North America that can attract the people of North America. And an Iraqi interpretation of Islam, or an Iranian interpretation of Islam, or an Indian or Pakistani interpretation of Islam, it works good in the Indian Pakistani community, but it's absolutely useless outside of these walls. And we wonder, some of our people are living here for 40 years. They've had masajid open for 40 years, and no one ever accepted Islam in their masjid. And why not? Because what we're doing, we're not expressing Islam in terms that the people around us can understand. The message of Islam that we're giving to the people around us is a Pakistani version, an Iraqi version, an Iranian version, a Lebanese version. It's every other version than an American version. And why don't we have an American version to give out? Because we're not doing the work to create that. We waste all of our time talking about revolution here and revolution there, Marik Bad America and this and that. One bag of hot talk. And when it comes right down to it, I will ask you, how many people have you converted to Islam in your time here? And I'm not talking about you. You people, you're businessmen. You probably have a better chance of converting people than some of the ulama. No, really, because the ulama are complete. I'm be honest, I'm not talking bad against any ulama, but they're completely detached from our culture. But the ulama have told me, Nuruddin, we can't do it. We can lead the little masjid. We can take care of the Indo-Pakistani community. But to reach your people, we can't do it. To get through to the new generation of Pakistanis and Indians and Iranians and Iraqis that have been born and raised here, they're Americans now, they can't do it. They're helpless. They don't have the skill set to penetrate the cultural bubble that surrounds this place. They don't have the vocabulary to attack the problem. And it's not that they're jahil or ignorant or bad or negligent. It's that they're not from here. Quran says that Allah raises up prophets from amongst the people. Why does Allah raise up prophets why doesn't Allah get masalan, one Arab prophet to go to the Persians? How come Allah didn't raise up an Indian prophet, right? And he did raise up many Indian prophets. Why didn't he raise up an Indian prophet and send him to Africa? Allah raises up prophets from amongst the people because they understand those people. Their mindset, their culture, their values, their history, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. And it's the same thing with what we have to do in North America. Brothers and sisters, the first thing we have to do in our movement in North America is deal with ourselves. And we have to be honest with ourselves. A lot of times we're not honest with ourselves. We look at ourselves in the mirror and we only see the good things, right? We don't take note of the bad things. So we have to be honest with ourselves and change ourselves. But the next thing is that we have to realize that Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam said, he said, At-tabligh gharizatul mu'min. Tabligh is the instinct of the believer. The believer, he wants to spread his religion. He wants other people to discover what he's discovered. He wants to share what he or she has with that friend or that companion that's in the society. So that next thing that we have to do now is to realize that we have to build something in North America that's gonna be American. And no one else can do that. We started talking about no one's gonna help us with our problems until we change what's going on with ourselves. That's where we started this discussion, right? Allah's not gonna help us. Allah's not gonna protect us. He's not gonna send anybody to help us. He's not gonna send anybody to protect us until we deal with what's going on inside of ourselves. This is the work that has to be done. And in the same way, the movement that has to be built in North America can only be built by us. Nobody else can do it. You go and you pick up one alim from the middle of who's it knows where, right? And you bring him over here, he can't do it. I don't care how big his amama is. It doesn't matter to me. And I'm not talking about this person or that person. Because a lot of times we think that because this person carries himself in a quiet way, slight way, soft way, right? And because he behaves in this way, then definitely he's mu'min, definitely he's alim. Or someone because he dresses this way or studied in this place, definitely he's like this. Look, these guys can't do the job that you and I have to do here. And when I say that, I'm talking to the young people in the audience. Because even the older gentlemen and ladies that are in the audience, you can't do this work either. I'm sorry. You know why? Because you're not from here. These American kids, they tell a joke and you don't get it. It goes right over your head. And they're laughing. They're like, yeah! And you're like, tell me, so I want to laugh too. Share the joke with me. There's work that has to be done here. And what we have to realize is no one's going to come and save us. No one's going to come and protect us. No one's going to come and help us. There's no outside help coming. There's no one else who can do this job but us. And once we realize that and accept that, then realize this then. One last salawat and we'll finish here for this evening. Why does everybody's life feel empty? It's a real question. I got a big family. I won't tell you about my family because you'll kick me out. But I got a big family. You know, with all those kids and all those people around me, I still feel lonely. Why is that? I got 9 kids and I still feel lonely. I'm surrounded by family members and friends and community members and still I'm lonely. Look at your own lives. You live, what they call California again? Isn't that one, the Golden State? The Golden State, bro. You live in the Golden State. Why does your life seem empty? You live in the Golden State. How come life just seems mundane? Like you come and you say, how you doing? Okay. But you live in Los Angeles. And you mean, okay. Okay is for somebody from Idaho. All right, that's for Nebraska. But California? How come? Why do we feel this way? It's the human condition. Why do we feel that our lives are unfulfilled, empty, that we're drifting without purpose, without meaning? Because this is what's going on, not just to us, but to the people outside here also. They're empty. Something is missing. And we can't quite put our finger on it. And because we cannot identify what's missing, so we try to fill up that hole inside of us with food or drugs or drink or women or men or... Something's missing. Why? What happened? And we're Muslims, Ahl Masjid. Why should we feel that way? You go and you tell somebody what's going on in your life. A Muslim, Ahle Masjid, a believer, says, oh, life is just like this, and it's ups and downs, and it's really tough, and I don't know what to do anymore. And you say, how? Why is a believer feeling like this? I'm going to tell you the secret right now. You know why? Because we're not living for anything. That's the problem. Easy as that. You know what we live for? We live to wake up tomorrow and go to work. We live for the end of the week when we get paid. But we're not living for anything. There's no inspiration in our life. There's no grand project. Our goals and our aims and our focal point, passion in our life is confined to that daily, mundane life. We're not living for anything. And so therefore we're going to die for nothing. Because we ain't living for nothing when you're dead. If you're not living for nothing, when you're dead, you think we're going to miss you? I'm going to tell you in your life, while you're here and alive here with me, if you're not living for something, and you're not living passionately for that something, and I don't give a darn what it is, be passionate about, Baba, be passionate about Baskin Robbins. Baba, be passionate about something. We're not passionate about anything. We're not living for anything. And so therefore, when we die, we're dying for nothing. A life wasted. If we want to get happy, if we want to enjoy life, Imam Ali says, the believer gets more pleasure out of life than the disbeliever. None of us believes that, though. I'm be honest with you, whenever I tell Muslims that, Muslims say, oh, hell no, them Kafirs is having fun. No, they're not. Them Kafirs are not having fun. But neither are you. Neither are you, because you ain't doing it right. And so we think the Kafir is having more fun than us, but he's not. This is the issue, that we're not living for anything. Right now, we don't have a goal that we live for. Like if everybody in this room right now was to say, I'm going to live for the North American Islamic movement, you'd see tomorrow morning now, everybody wake up happy. They have a goal now. They have an aim now. It's something that inspires them, that they think about it. It gives them energy. It enriches their life. Now, instead of sitting around with their wife at night and say, hey, babe, how you doing? She says, okay. He says, all right. And that's the end of the discussion. Now you'll have something to talk about. Something to discuss passionately. Now, instead of telling your kids, how was school today? School was fine, Baba. Okay. Salam alaikum. That's it. Now you'll have something to share. Some passion that enlivens everybody's life. The reason we feel that our lives are empty and meaningless and mundane and boring, and we're itching for some excitement in our life, so we go and we blow our money on all types of stupid stuff, is because we're not living for anything. There's no passion in our life. And if we're going to live for something, you have to live. I gave the example of Baba, live for Baskin Robbins at least, right? When you live for something, you have to live for a big goal, a great goal. The greater the goal, the happier it makes you. If you really only live for Baskin Robbins, once you get done with those 31 flavors, you're not happy anymore. So we have to have an important goal, big aim. We'll finish here because I know I'm taking your time, right? Let's finish up here then, okay? This deen of Islam, Deen Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The deen is for the ambitious people. If you're not ambitious, this religion is not for you. If you don't want more, save yourself some trouble. Go to church tomorrow morning. Because this deen is for the ambitious. This deen is for people who want more. People who aren't satisfied with ordinary. People who want more, this deen is for them. People who have great ambition, this deen is for them. People who are satisfied with less and with the ordinary and mundane, you go somewhere else. This deen isn't for you. I'll be straight with you. If you don't have any ambition, this religion isn't for you. The deen is set up to support ambitious people. I'll give one quick example. Shahr Ramadan. One night in Shahr Ramadan is worth what? 1,000 nights, right? One night is worth 1,000 nights. Look at the way we look at it, right? Most people look at it like, if I don't go to the masjid for any of the nights in Shahr Ramadan, I have to go for this one because it's worth 1,000 nights, right? That's the way we look at it, right? Like, I'm not going to go at all in Shahr Ramadan, but I'll go in this one night because it's 1,000 nights, and now I've made 1,000 nights out of one night, right? Now this sounds like, hey, that sounds like a pretty good deal. You're able to get 1,000 nights out of one night, right? He thinks that he's getting over by not going the other 29 nights and only going this one night. But the deen is made for the ambitious people who go every night and Laylatul Qadr. You understand what I'm trying to say? Deen is made for the people who not just read Quran in Shahr Ramadan, right? Because look what will happen. Some of us in Shahr Ramadan, we say, well, look, sleeping has the reward of praying. So if I sleep all day, it's like getting the thawab of praying all day. And it's true. If you sleep all day in Shahr Ramadan, you will get the benefit of praying all day. But the ambitious people, they sleep during the day and they pray during the night. So now they've prayed for 24 hours. This deen is designed for the ambitious, for those who want more out of life. And the reason that we're not happy in life and our lives feel empty and we feel bored and we suffer with depression or anxiety or this issue or divorce is growing amongst us, the reason is because we're not living for anything. We live for tomorrow and that's it. We live for next week and that's it. There's no great passion that animates us as a people. And so if we're going to create a movement in North America, this is what it's going to take to begin with. That we recognize that we need to work on ourselves first, and then secondly, nothing can be done by anyone else. It's going to have to be us that does it. And we have to do it passionately and idealistically, inshallah. We ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should have mercy on our souls. Ya Allah, forgive us of our sins. Ya Allah, guide us to your straight path. Strengthen our limbs in your service and our feet in your path, Ya Allah. Hasten the appearance of your Imam and make us his helpers and supporters upon his return. Wala hawla wala quwwata illa billahil aliyyul azim. Salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wajjal farajahu. If there's any questions or comments, please feel free, inshallah, and then we'll continue with the rest of the program, inshallah. Any comments? Any questions? Huh?
The question is that I grew up from here all the way to Yellowstone.
Yeah.
And people living on both sides of the freeway. Say they lived for 1,400 years on both sides. None of them Muslim people give them any kind of, like say...
Tablighat, dawah, yeah.
Yeah, dawah. Why would we say that they will go to hell? That it's our fault that we didn't give them dawah. And are they still going to go to hell? Because Allah is not that.
For people, kufr, when we say someone is a kafir, when we say kufr, kufr means to reject, right? To turn away from something. In order to reject or turn away from something, you have to have knowledge of it. Like, I can't reject what I don't know, right? So when we say kafir, a lot of times even I use the word kafir, right, to people who really aren't kafir. They're just jahil, they don't know, you know. Most of the people around us are not kafir in the technical sense. most of the people around us, they're just not Muslim, but they don't know about Islam. And even if we could say they know a little something about Islam, it's wrong information, right? So again, we can't blame them. Second, do they go to hell or because of their not following Islam? Let's make something straight. Quran also makes it straight and clear. Hell is not just for disbelievers. There's going to be a lot of Muslims in hell, and a gang of Shias are going to be in hell. Hell is not just for disbelievers, and paradise also is not just for believers. There's going to be a lot of people who are non-Muslims that will make it to paradise. Allah judges the people based on their intention and their action. Now, if people are ignorant and don't know any better and they do something wrong, Allah forgives them and overlooks it. So these people won't be going to hell like how we look at it. But I want to say this also. We don't know what's in people's hearts either, right? There are some people out here that might seem like very bad people, but inside they're good, right? And there might be many people out here that they seem like good people, but inside they're bad. So this decision, who goes to hell, who goes to heaven, we leave that up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah. Any other questions or comments? Feel free. Don't be shy. No? Yes, brother.
You were just talking about Assalamu alaikum first.
Assalamu wa rahmatullah. Wa salman.
Thank you. Just, the question I have, Sheikh, is you said the movement in North America. So we can talk about the movement all day long, you know, but somebody has to come up with the plan, because without the plan you cannot even go back to Florida. You know, we're staying here in Imam Ali Center, you know, you have to go to the airport and then you go to back to Tampa. So is anybody who's just making the plan how to do tabligh or do things, you know, inshallah?
You know what's happening now? If you look across the country, there's definitely a movement happening, but there is no leadership. So you're absolutely right. There's no shape or form to this movement yet, right? And we refer to it as a movement, even though in the true sense of the word, it hasn't developed into a movement yet. But when you look across the country from coast to coast, there's definitely something going on. Where, for instance, the people are recognizing that there has to be another path than the one that we've been on. Right? So across the country, people are trying new and different things. Like, for instance, in Tampa, we open a new little center, but it's not really a center. We still go to the other masjid for Jummah or for Eid prayers, but we come together in this place to build our relationship, to eat together, to pray together, to play games together. We have family game night together. We try to do things to pull the people together. So all over the country, people are trying to do something. They are leaderless. It is without some form and without some shape, but definitely there's a movement going on. Now, it's up to those, we could say, scholars and intelligentsia in the country to give shape and to give form to this movement. But we have to understand that not anybody can do it. I mean, I'll be honest, I know big ulama here in California who've come to me and have said, look, I've studied this much and I know this much and my level is at this, but I can't talk to the people. My language skills aren't good enough. My understanding isn't good enough. My cultural understanding isn't good enough. And the ulama know it. So it's like, it's not a job that we can wait necessarily for somebody with a turban to come and do this job and give shape and form to this movement. Right? It's going to be the revolutionaries who do this. And that's why we kind of brought it up tonight, because what we need is everybody involved. Because right now what's going on is you have 5 or 6 people around the country actively thinking about this. But imagine if everybody was working on this page. Everybody was thinking about this. What needs to happen? Where do we need to go? How, for instance, how does this center need to change to bring the young people in? What do we have to do to increase our relationships with each other and make them better? You know, so these are things that we can do and that only we can do. And it's not up to the ulama, it's up to the intelligentsia, the revolutionaries, the leaders that exist in the community. And there is really no one actively working on this full time. You know, you have a few brothers, ulama, and different people around the country trying to put it together. But what's amazing is that everybody's going in the same direction without any leadership, and it's amazing. It has to be the work of Allah. And just to say this very quickly, even though you've heard me say this before, realize how important the work is that we're doing in North America. If we create a movement in North America, it will spread to the rest of the world faster than if we create a movement in Tehran or Baghdad or Islamabad or anywhere else. If we start something here, using the tools and using the ways and means that are uniquely American, right? Because we have something that's in our power already. As Americans, we wield an incredible amount of influence and power over the rest of the world. If it gets popular in America that everybody wear red shoes, everybody in Pakistan and Iraq and Iran will be wearing red shoes too. That's the way it goes. If everybody put on a Levi's, they'll make a fake Levi's to wear it over there so that they can wear Levi's too. Okay, this is how they do. Anything we do in America will spread to the rest of the world, even Islam. And if we spread Islam from here to the rest of the world, it'll spread way better than it could ever spread from Tehran or Baghdad or Islamabad or Beirut. We are in the center of the world and we're not taking advantage of our position. The tools, the expertise, the talent that we have just in our own community, we're not using it. And we're wondering why we're bored and unfulfilled and life is so mundane and I'm gonna just... So inshallah.
So how you convert yourself? I mean, the thing is, just wanted to know is any Maulana converted you or you get guidance from yourself so we can just do the same pattern?
I can tell you what happened with me, but it won't help you. I was different. From the time I was a little boy, I was a believer. I didn't know about Allah or Islam, but I used to pray with Jimmy Swaggart on the TV. When Jim Baker said, close your eyes and pray with me now, I was the kid that was like this. So I always had some iman inside of me, even before Islam. So I woke up kind of on my own, and there was nobody really to guide me. But in my own experience, if we are to draw people here, the only way to do it is through social contacts, friendships. Giving out literature and books, right, and magazines, it helps, but I'm going to be honest with you, most people can't read it. Especially from Shias. Like, Shia literature is very intellectual. Like, even if they translate Allama Tabatabai's books into good English, the common American reader can't understand it. What's going to make people Muslim is when we eat with them, be friends with them, invite them. We were saying that tonight to one of the brothers. Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam said, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Imam Ali said a man is more like his friends than he is like his father. Right? You want these people to not be like their father, then be their friend. And this is really to talk about how I became Muslim. I found Islam on my own because I had Encyclopedia Britannica. Right? So I wasn't waiting for somebody to guide me. I was looking. But when I went to the mosque and after the salat, everybody embraced me, sat down with me, talked to me, gave me tea, gave me lunch, treated me like a brother. This had more effect on me than the books. So you can spend $1 quadrillion on books, right? And it won't do as much as just to make a friend with somebody and be a genuine friend with somebody. Like sometimes we have friends that just tell us what we want to hear. No, be a real friend to somebody. And you'll see them change. They will accept Islam as long as we spend the time around them, because a man is more like his friends than he is like his father. So if we want to spread the deen, one of the first things we have to do is throw the center doors open, like how you have it here. Open it up. Open it up. We have to invite the people in, and the people have to feel welcome to come in. Most of the time, be honest with you. So now you're going to make me make trouble, right? Okay, I'm going to make trouble. Since you kept me up here too long, Aga Salman. Now we're going to make trouble. We got a problem in our masjids that we're not very welcoming to outsiders. And ladies, I'm gonna make trouble with you now. It's mostly on the ladies' side. No, really, I'm be honest with you. I know a brother had a sister. She accepted Islam. She put on hijab. And this is common in the convert community. Somebody accepts Islam before we take them to the masjid, right? And then you take them to the masjid, and the way they get treated by the Muslims in the masjid sends them back to church. Now this happened to a friend of mine's wife. His wife accepted Islam. She put on the hijab. She was studying with her husband at home. And then he took her to the mosque. And after 3 trips to the masjid on the ladies' side, she went back to church. And this happens a lot. And the problem is most acute on our ladies' side. And a lot of times we think like, why? Women are so nice and sociable, and they smell good and they smile pretty. Like, who wouldn't want to go back there and talk to them, right? Like these sisters that we bring, why would they be upset? Women are also very cliquish. Women can also be very mean and unwelcoming. And when somebody who's absolutely new to the culture and absolutely new to the religion comes in, one bad experience can spoil it. So we have to be more open in accepting outsiders. One time the ulama said, Sheikh, we're doing tablighat in the prisons. I said, why, Veila? They said, why? It's a good thing. I said, no, it's not. They said, why? You do tabligh in prison. What do you think? They're going to be in prison forever? They're going to get out. And you did tabligh with them. When they get out, they're going to come here. Are you ready for that? And they're good Muslims. Let's just say they became great Muslims in prison. Mu'min. And they get out and they come to this masjid. Next question. Do you have a job for them? Do you have a job for them? No. Do you have a place for them to live? No. Do you got a car for them to drive? Do you got a daughter for them to marry? Oh. Think about, so now you're going to go do tabligh in the prison, right? But when Bande Khuda gets out of prison and comes to the masjid with tattoos from the crown of his head to the sole of his feet, you're going to look, hey, chap, nigah makunit. You're going to look at him bad. And when he comes and he says, I need a job, you're going to say, I don't know, you're a prisoner. But he's your Muslim brother. And when he comes and he says, I need a wife, you're going to say, not my daughter. So best thing is, leave him right there. When you call people, you have to call them to something. You can't just call somebody to an ideology. It's like calling somebody to a phantom, to a ghost. People need to be called towards something. We have to have something to offer them. At the very least, brotherhood and sisterhood, friendship and companionship. We can't even do that. New people come in the masjid, they experience us and they leave. I saw one brother, old man, 70-year-old man, accepted Islam in our masjid in Tampa. He came to the masjid one night, they were doing Khatm Quran for somebody who passed away. Somebody had left the little juz of Quran on the floor. This old man with a cane, when he went to go sit down with his cane, his body was coming down on the Quran. So some mu'min who was entirely too mu'min goes running over there to save the Quran and stops the old man from sitting down and tumbles his old butt over so he could save the Quran. So you push over an old man so that he doesn't sit on the Quran. Are you surprised he didn't come back to the masjid? You darn near broke his leg. These things matter and these things count, and how we interact with the people around us, that's the most You want to bring Muslims? Be friends with them. Genuine friends with them. Make genuine relationships with them. Yep. And this is most powerful, inshallah.
Brother, in prison, shouldn't you help them? Like tell them what?
You can guide them. You can guide them and do your best, but you also be ready. You built a relationship with somebody.
Then help them too.
Okay, well then help him too. But most of the time we don't want to help him. I'm just saying the truth. Yeah, help him too. Of course help him too. But most of the time when he comes out of prison, we don't have a job for him. We don't have a place for him to stay. You want to go do tabligh like a big shot, but then when he gets out of prison, you got nothing to offer. Not even a bubble gum. You can't even buy him a Pepsi to drink.
What if you can?
Huh? Will you? That's the next question. No, but for real, it's a real issue that we have to deal with, you know. We have to be more open, more accepting. People can feel when we don't like them. You know? Somebody shows up here from a different race or a different ethnicity, different culture, because it's not just converts. I've heard that like when a Pakistani goes to an Arab mosque, he gets treated the same way. You know, if an Arab goes to an Iranian mosque, he gets treated the same way. It's a problem with us. And we have to address that, inshallah. Khair? Khair, inshallah. Yes?
If that is a problem in our community, what's the solution? Should we stop going to the mosque?
Should we what?
Should we stop going to the mosque? Revolt against the system? How should we solve that?
No, I think I've always been a believer in this, that in addition to the sheikh that's in the community, we need some sheriff and some deputies in the community. Right? So like for instance, and I'm not talking about y'all's community, but I'm talking about in many communities, the ladies' side is like a no man's land. There is like, on the ladies' side, there's no supervision. So one sister can jump up and say, this is what Islam means, and have a completely wrong interpretation. And none of the other sisters who know better will stand up and say, shut up, you're wrong. You know, so we, not in California, inshallah, but we've seen this to where we have bad behaving, as an example, and we know it, that there's been like some bad behaving sisters on this side or that side, right? And the good behaving sisters never put them in check. Or the same with the brothers. You know you got a loudmouth brother that's a little abrasive on this side, nobody ever puts him in check. We have to actively pursue that culture in the center, so when you see someone doing something, you don't have to call them out in public, but you do have to call them out and let them know, like, this isn't acceptable. We don't do that at this center. And you shouldn't act like this. Like, we have to enforce that culture. Because right now what happens is we enforce a foreign culture. Right? And be honest with you, even like the parade between men and women, we got rid of that in Tampa. Of course, there's space between men and women, but we don't put up parade anymore. Because if an outsider comes in and sees the women completely blocked off from the men, it reinforces certain stereotypes and they feel separated. I don't want them to feel separated. I want everybody to feel together. So like how you have it open here, it's nice. The whole parade with everything blocked off and knocked out and they can't see, you can't see. These days are done. We can't go back to that. So yeah, we need a new way forward, inshallah. Khair? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala.
That's a, no, that's a small. I don't do. That's
Brother, tomorrow at 9 o'clock there's going to be takbirat, and